Hi guys, okay, a scope shot of what is going into our HHO cell. It is looking a bit messy now, but what I've done here is I've put a 3 ohm 7 watt resistor across the input into the cell. That's the positive side. The reason I've done this is because we've only got a 7 watt resistor. We have to have the amps turned down fairly low, otherwise the resistor gets very hot. And when the motor's not under load, the governor wants to hunt a little bit on it, and without that resistor, just having the scope across the cell, our U-Butte scope picture just keeps disappearing every time the motor revs up and down a little bit. So I'm just using this resistor to stabilise it a bit, to drop the voltage that the scope is trying to read down, and it still jumps around a little bit, but it does stay in frame. So I was saying in the last video, I think I was anyway, that it's kind of like a sawtooth wave, very messy because of the brushes, no doubt, and it's choco full of high voltage spikes. So what I'll do is I'll start it up now and let you have a look. Disconnect the cell, and once it's going you won't be able to hear me, so I will just show you what's going on. We won't be making a lot of hydrogen because we've only got our small resistor and this tiny little wire that's joined up too. So here we go. So that's what we have on the scope. That's what's going into the cell. This gauge is pretty hard to read accurately, but at 5 amps, what would be 5 amps on the gauge going into the cell, this meter seems to read about 7.5 amps coming out of the cell going to the battery. And as you see in the previous video, the battery does charge pretty quick. So a little more research needed here, and some very interesting results so far, especially those high voltage spikes that are going through our cell on top of that messy wave. Okay, well, I'm going to build a large hydrogen cell now for this setup. and we will see what we can do with that. Cheers from the Tin Man.